are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian
I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you.
Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues.
Now please welcome to the ice for their pregame warm-up, presented by Scott Credit Union. Yours.
Blue Note Fan Report. I'm doing that for nobody. Hello. If you're out there in Blue Note land, welcome along. This is Guy, the White Blues fan, with my co-host, Justin Eagle Eye Scott. And we thought we'd come today to talk about free agency, the draft, and some other things that have been happening in the world of Guy, Justin, and Blues hockey. How are you doing, my friend Justin?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to do an impromptu show. I kind of, I asked you about this, and you were pretty much down to do it, and I was excited to hear it. The Blues made two free agent signings, and I've come around on the acquisition of a guy like McTavish. I'm bought in. I even said it on Twitter that I'm bought in. I'm 100% bought in for McTavish. I think McTavish can rebound. The stats are still there. So for all the people that have been getting on to me about, oh well, you were saying this about McTavish. You were saying this about McTavish. Yes, the stats are out there. Any person with eyes can go out there and read the stats. The stats show me that McTavish is not great defensively. So don't call me out for saying something that's factual. I'm just pointing out something. But I am on the McTavish wagon. I want him to do well. I'm excited for this team. But then we get into free agency and we make the two signings. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. But first, I want to ask you kind of what's been going on with you. I've been seeing that you've been doing some fishing.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't have. I got really lucky on Tuesday. I got a call, or I got a message on Monday, which was my wife's birthday. My wife's birthday, and we were able to celebrate it over the weekend and on Monday. But I got a call through a military group about a guy that owns a fishing boat, and he basically, said, "Hey, I'm going out on Tuesday, do you want to come?" And I was like, hell yeah. I've been deep sea fishing maybe 4 times in my life. I mean, I think I remember the 4 times, right? We'll get there, Mary. Give us a few. And actually I can remember the 4 times that I've been deep sea fishing. First time I was 7 years old in Florida. The second time I was in Norfolk, I went out with a buddy of mine on a I don't even know if it was deep sea fishing, kind of went out on a boat, probably went 2 miles out and, dropping line, one of the boats where everybody's got a line in, right? Like just dropping the line straight down into something. And then, my mom came here in 2004. And I went out on a boat with them, and we caught a mahi-mahi, which is kind of like a dolphin fish. I mean, it's got like a square head, if you ever seen it, right? I don't know what the other name for it is. I only know it as a mahi-mahi, but it looks like it's not a tuna, it's a white fish, right? And then yesterday, I got to go out, and I'm working on, I didn't have these pictures uploaded, so I'm working on getting them so we can see some of the pictures in the video. And I have more video. I just haven't had a chance yet to upload it or get it edited and uploaded. But while we were out there, hold on, I'm trying to get this. Give me just a sec. I should be able to get some of it up. There we go. So it should pop up here in a second on my Facebook. We ended up hooking into a 110-pound yellowfin, or what's known here as ahi tuna. You got to see the pics, right?
Yeah,
that was a big
you've been
fish,
sending me the
right?
pictures. I enjoy the pictures. I'm someone that is I've never, like, for me, I've never gotten into the whole fishing thing, but I think it maybe more has to do with the fact that I'm just not a summer person. I'm not a very hot weather person. I very much prefer the fall, the winter. Obviously hockey season there too, but I like to be cold rather than hot. And right now it's hot as shit here. It's 100 degrees every day, and I'm tired of it. So
I absolutely understand what you are. I mean, because I live in the heat every day, right? It hasn't been super bad. I mean, you can see my face. I got sun on the boat, and I won't call it a ship because it wasn't. But you can kind of see from my arms and that, I got. There we go. I got some sun, and I was wearing a shirt that was supposed to help keep the sun off of me. It did okay, but when you're in the sun, you're in the sun. Not much you can do about it all the time. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can pull some of this stuff up.
We need to get you on the TikTok and doing some videos for some fishing and showing the pictures, and you can even like pictures and stuff. You can collage that shit together and put it on TikTok. So
can you see it there?
Yeah, I can.
That's the boat that I went out on. Hold on, I gotta try and let's see here. That's when we came back in. I'm trying to figure out how this downloaded everything. Okay, there we go. So I'll just go through some of the pictures here. This video. That's a picture. That's a picture of me reeling this bad boy in. That's kind of where the back end of the pictures now. Hold on. Not where I wanted to be. Here we go. This is me fighting that bad boy.
Deep color. Yeah. Big deep color. Big depth circles.
Notice how tired I'm getting? You could feel the weight of this. I think this is close to when we pulled him in.
I'm controlling the driver too. Okay, sorry. You're good. You're good.
Oh, wow.
You're good. All right, take it out of gear. Take it out of gear.
And I'll put the video there. I'll go through the whole thing, but let me kind of get to the nitty gritty. Find it. There's the boat I was on. It originally was called the Great Escape. He's going to rename it. He didn't say what he was going to rename it. That's the fish that we brought in. Right. And that's me with it. The thing was, I felt it. So what had happened when it hit, I was sitting over in the side and I watched a bird like swoop down towards where our lures were streaming. And as soon as it did, I heard the reel go off. And the guy who owns a boat, that's the guy that owns the boat there. And that's his dad next. Let's see if we get the right video or right picture. I'm not sure what I got up here. Hold on. Yeah, so that's his dad there. And his dad just, 74 years old. I'm done with, our 64. So he went and drove the boat and I jumped on the reel. And the moment I got on that reel, it was still streaming. We had like the reel is huge. You can see the size of the reel from the video, right? That's a huge reel. there's probably a mile of line on that.
Yeah.
And that fish took. We had less than I'd say maybe a sixth of the reel out or an eighth of the reel out, not a lot. That fish had that down to less than 3/4.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're just, fighting. It took two of us 30 minutes to bring him in. And it was just an amazing experience. He ended up coming in after he was cleaned and gutted and degilled. He was 110 pounds. So that was a 115 pound to 120 pound fish.
Man, right? Oh man! Well, that's an impressive catch for you guys then.
Oh yeah, man. And then we caught another smaller one. You can kind of see on the table there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Smaller. Yeah. There was one more we had, but as soon as we went to pull him in the boat, he popped the hook. Mm-hmm. But the guy really, there we go. You can see the smaller fish. That's an aku tuna, right? This is the albacore. This is what most of the tuna that you get out of the tuna cans and all that. That's what this is, right? That's one of those, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And you know what? I've talked to Chris. I didn't send him a message that we're on, but you might want to send it to him. He might hop on. We're going to try and take you out with us, right? We're trying to figure out, because we know with your site, it makes it hard for you to cast. We're going to try and figure out a way that we can take you out and have you cast without, casting into the trees all the time. So we're trying to work on something while I'm there. I'm looking forward to coming home. It was a great day. Thanks for bringing it up. I'm sure when you first saw those pictures, you were like, damn, and here's the worst part of this. I have it on video. I got to bring it together. After we caught the fish, they talk about the adrenaline, getting the chestnuts or the almond taste in your mouth from the adrenaline. I got that along with the boat was stopped. We were in swells. And he had twin 225s, so their exhaust was right there in the back, right? All of that hit me at once, and I had to chum a little bit, right? So the sailor had to throw up, right? Sailor got seasick. But after I got some Gatorade back in me, I was fine, man. I was ready to go after that. I'm sending Chris a message. Tell him I'm lying. I've been keeping tabs on it. You've been sending me pictures, videos, and everything. I like them when I see them. Like you said, it for me, it's always foreign to me when it comes to anything with fishing, just because of, like I said, I think that's mostly why I'm not a fishing, guy, is because I'm not a hot weather person. And I know that's crazy to think, to say, but it's like, well, if you like fishing, then, just do it. That's when's the best time to do it. But it's just like, it's just not for me. It's not for me, but it's always cool to see how other people, get passionate about it. And, I know that you're, super excited about coming down and just doing it with Jacques, man. So. Yeah, man, we're going back to that lake that I grew up at. And I've been wanting to take him to that lake for years. Like, we've talked about it, and I finally convinced his wife to let him go. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The draft. If I'm looking at the draft, right? We'll go into the draft here first. I don't, I've seen a bunch of, the winners and losers takes and things like that. I feel like the Blues came up winners in the draft. I think they did really well. They had 13 picks, made 9, and got 11 players out of it. Right? When the McTavish trade happened, you and me went back and forth a little bit. And I kind of looked at the McTavish trade. The way I looked at it is, and you would send me some stats, right? And understood your stats, and I think you finally understood what I was talking about. If you look at where Kyrou was at the age of 23, and then you look at where McTavish is at 23 and put those charts together, McTavish is actually ahead of where Kyrou was at 23. And you also have to look at, and this is something that's really important. I don't think a lot of people understand this. The team that McTavish was on was not a very good team, right? They were piecemealed. They tried to bring in a bunch of heavily talented guys that had zero chemistry and that didn't work together. Well, in St. Louis, you have a team for the most part that has that chemistry already there. And while I like Kyrou, and I've been a Kyrou apologist, and you've called me time and time again, I understood this move, and I think what they did is they got a guy that has 70-point potential, and they got him for 2 draft picks. That I don't think they planned on using in the first place. They were trading those picks. They were trading some semi-balance of those picks.
So I want to say this too, because we went back and forth on it. I didn't like it initially. You took 2 picks, but the way that I've been going on, and I even told you earlier that I'm on the McTavish wagon now. I'm 110% on that wagon now. I think he has potential to definitely rebound. The way I view it as a fan and as a Blues fan, I should say, yes, the 2 first-round picks, they weren't going to make all 4. So they weren't going to make all 4. The Blues tried to trade up in the draft. They couldn't do it. The thing that I loved about this, though, was the fact that Doug Armstrong called Pat Verbeek's bluff and held out and did not take McTavish for the 11th overall pick. The Blues took the 11th overall pick, made the right choice, picked at 11, got Tynan Lawrence, which I think is going to be a great player here. I think he's going to where he potentials out at is a second line center is what they have him projected to be. But who knows? You never know how people project or how people end up actually coming out. So that's great for them. And then they get McTavish for 15th and 29th. And the way that I view it is I look at it now, and the Blues wanted to trade up to the top 5 so badly and use all 4 draft picks to do it. They got a already proven 3rd overall pick in the draft. So McTavish was picked 3rd overall in the I don't know what year. I think it was 2021, maybe. I think it was 21.
21 or 22, yeah.
Yeah, 20. I think it was 21, if I'm not mistaken. But he was chosen 3rd overall. So the Blues got a proven top 5 pick in McTavish. Now, I think his ceiling is a lot higher than 52 points because 52 points is his career high. I think that he is capable of more than 52 points. I think I'm with you. We talked about this on the show last time, that I think the X factor this year is going to be Pavel Buchnevich. If Pavel Buchnevich comes in and plays how we know Pavel Buchnevich can play, and McTavish, I think McTavish is going to have a resurgence because he's playing in front of the St. Louis faithful. And no offense to the Anaheim crowd, I think St. Louis is more of a raucous crowd than Anaheim is.
Yeah.
No knock on Anaheim.
The other thing is, like you know, I mentioned this before. No, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything. I mentioned that I thought the X factor being Buchnevich was because Buchnevich comes in and is the Buchnevich that we know he can be. He takes that pressure off of McTavish, right? McTavish doesn't have to go out there and be, oh my God, McTavish. That pressure gets taken off him some, and he's able to play the way that we know he should be able to play and the way we think he should be able to play, because he doesn't have to do it all himself.
Can I also mention something about Bush? Yeah. I saw it all. I'm seeing it all over the line. Guy, you can, like I said, you can. I've called you Kyrou apologist, a Bennington apologist. You can call me a Bush apologist. I don't hate Pavel Buchnevich. I love Pavel Buchnevich. I don't understand why people want to get rid of this guy for scraps. This guy is not a bad player. He had a down year, yes, but he's not a bad player. And his contract, if you look at it, it's not the greatest contract, but the cap is going up. It's not that bad of a contract.
Contracts like that. No, let's go back. Let's go back to right now. If you go and look at and I seen a couple of, the free agency stuff, how teams were set up, it went up. Bad contracts, right? Which teams had bad contracts? 3 years ago, what was one? And maybe I'm going to ask this question because if you go back 3 years, I think you'll know the answer. What was something that everyone considered a bad contract we had?
Well, Kyrou.
There's another one. There we had
Thomas.
No, not Thomas.
Oh, well, I have. They were on that Thomas kick too, but then they really shut their mouths pretty quickly. That was a topic though. Was it? I don't know. I know Kyrou was a heavy focus, but outside of that, the only person I can think of would have been. Did they sign the contract 3 years ago?
No, I think they might have signed it a year before that. Or may have. The contract was signed somewhere in that period.
So I don't know. I must be an idiot. I feel like when you tell me, I'm gonna know. It's got to be.
I'll give you a hint, and I'll say he's a defenseman.
Parayko,
right?
Okay,
yeah.
That's who I was gonna guess first, but I didn't want to look like an idiot because I was also gonna say Benner, but I think Benner was already signed for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So
Benner, when Benner signed his 6x6, a lot of people looked at it wrong because it wasn't a 6x6. It was a 3x6 with 3 tradable years. You only had to pay him the 6 for 3 years, and then you had 3 tradable years.
Benner's contract right now is a steal. Also, by the way. Yeah. I said Bennington's. I mean, he had a down year, but Bennington as a goalie, where he stands right now. The Blues pay their goalies perfectly right now.
Yeah, no,
I contracts are perfect.
I absolutely agree. But 3 years ago, everyone talked about Parayko being a bad contract. Now, no one looks at Parayko as a bad contract. When guys first sign these contracts, the first year after they sign these contracts, sometimes is a down year. These contracts you can't call good or bad until you're 2 to 3 years into the contract. That's when you can really go back and look and say, yes, it was a bad contract. Because I had so many people, I saw so many people at the end of the season talk about Kyrou's money and how Kyrou was a bad contract. However, at the trade deadline, all I heard was Kyrou's team-friendly contract. Right? Mm-hmm. So the way that fans look at contracts and the money is not the way the establishment or the GMs and the owners and all of that, not the way they look at contracts, right? You have to look at the life of a contract. And you know what? You could have said Krug was a bad contract until he got hurt. Then it made it a good contract because it came off the board. We didn't have to pay it. Well, we paid it, but we didn't. Actually, the insurance paid it.
Yeah, well, and you look at this, though, Kyrou, but see, I brought it up to you before on this show before, and we've talked about it numerous times. Kyrou and Thomas together, so they both made $8 million, right? So they made less combined than Kirill Kaprizov did in Minnesota. I mean, and you're talking about the cap going up, dude. Connor McDavid might be the first player in the NHL to ever get paid $20 million. So, I mean, if you think $8 million when the cap is going up significantly is an issue, then I think you're the problem because you're going to have to pay these guys. You can't just get away with paying these guys cheap money. First of all, Kyrou and Thomas, I think they signed okay contracts. Yes, could they have waited maybe an extra year to maybe fight? Maybe, but I mean, 8 by 8. You were trying to lock down some young stars. You locked down Thomas until 2031, and Kyrou would have been the same, but Kyrou's not here anymore. And then, so it's not a bad contract. There's not many bad contracts on this Blues team anymore. The only contract that most of the people haven't.
You got McTavish to that same date, to 2031, at $1.5 million less, or $1.1 million less, right?
Yeah. Which is good. Yeah. Which is good, but I think I don't think that there's anyone bad on like a bad contract on the team. Like the Blues were reportedly going after Alexander Nikishin, which I think would be an outstanding addition to this team. He wants about $8 million. I'll pay him $8 million. He's 24 years old and he's a defenseman. I will pay him that. I pay him that because but most people don't understand is if you want the decent players, man, you're going to have to pay them. You can't get away with shortchanging them. It's not going to work.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct with that. Now so that's the draft overall. I mean, I don't want to go over all the picks. I got a goalie in there. You got a Russian goalie.
No, just go over the first round.
They got some forwards. They got another forward in the first round. A center, I think he was. I forget his name.
Yeah, it's a center, and it was a center, and his name is Maddox Dejanay.
Yeah. A lot of people were high on him. They thought we got a steal.
I think for the size, I think the Blues went size. Now the guy that I wanted was Ethan Belches. I think the guy that went after this pick for the Blues was Ethan Belches. I think I wanted him. He was a big boy as well. I understand what they were doing with centers, and I don't think it was that far of a reach, but I think it was a decent pick, not as good as the Lawrence pick. The Lawrence pick was the best pick to me.
Yeah, right. Lawrence was a good pick. So overall, I felt like the Blues did really well. They stockpiled picks. They got guys they needed. They got guys that are a couple of years away. They got guys that are 3 to 5 years away. They got guys that are going to help in the ECHL. They got guys that are going to help in the AHL in a year to 2 years. They got a couple guys going back to college. That's fine. That's seasoning. You know, that's the stuff we need, right? And then the other big thing that happens is on Monday, Alexander Steen is announced as the GM. Well, we knew this was coming. This isn't like shocking news, right? It's what we knew was coming.
You know what's funny? I looked on Twitter. I kid you not. Someone tweeted. I don't think it was an actual post. So I think it was a comment, and someone goes, "This was a shock," and I'm like, "Brother, this thing's been announced for 2 years." Like, what do you mean it's been a shock? Everybody knew that this was coming if you were paying attention. But
I guess I can say this. You know, they say that imitation is the best form of flattery. Yeah. When I started doing this, there were 3 of us, maybe 4, right? There was Let's Go Blues Radio. There was The Drop. And then there was me. And I think there was one more, and I won't mention who it was, but I actually think they started after me. When I started doing this, there were 3 of us doing this. That was it. Right? And well, you had the Let's Go Blues, Let's Go Last Minute podcast, but that's sponsored by the Blues, so that's a little different level, right? That's not quote unquote fan media. You
were the one of the first fan podcast.
Yeah, I was like the 3rd one, but because
one of the first.
One of the So now there are a whole bunch of these guys, and there's a whole bunch of these accounts on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and some of them are really, really bad. Like I saw one yesterday, I almost threw up. It had an AI of Alexander Steen telling people to watch their stuff, right? That right there, that's false advertisement. That right there, I mean, if I'm Steen, I sue the shit out of them. I sue the shit out of that little bitty podcast because what they're doing is they're telling people that Alexander Steen is telling them to watch this podcast, and that's not what it is. Right? And that stuff, and a lot of the guys that I hear out there, they're not saying anything other than either A, they're extremely negative, or B, they're extremely positive. There's no in between. Now, I do know I used to get people, believe it or not, you sit there and tell me I'm overly positive. You don't know how many people I've had leave this show before you were here. By the way, happy 1 year anniversary, which was last week, was 1 year that you started doing this show. Right?
Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, no, that's great. No, and let me get this out of the way. I don't think you're overly positive. I think the thing that we do well and extreme, like we've been talking about, like you said, how we can finally we finally understand how to disagree with each other and give each other our takes and our points and why we think what we think. And I think it balances it out. Why you may be positive on something and I can be negative on something. We can come together and flesh out something. I don't think any one of us is overly positive, and I don't think any one of us is extremely negative either.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think, but I've had so many people tell me they left the show because I'm so negative. Right? I'm not. I'm one of the look. I'll call out bad play, and you've seen me do it. I'll call out bad play. I'll call out when a guy is like Stanford. I saw Stanford be in a traffic cone. I got that. Right? I didn't see the negative on Kyrou. I understood what people were pointing it out, but it always felt like they had Kyrou glasses on. Right? And they were only seeing what Kyrou did and not what was around why Kyrou did it. And I won't do that. I look at the big picture. A lot of times that he'd cough up the puck because nobody was there for him to give it to. He outskated his coverage. Now, that was on him.
Yeah. Might I add?
I will admit that.
Might I add with the Kyrou thing, I've taken it upon myself. Now, when Kyrou got traded, I saw some people come, and say, okay, yeah, I hope he does well. I think he'll do well. Disappointing he didn't work out. Okay, great. But then I saw these clowns, the true clowns of the St. Louis fandom, still giving this guy, reaming this guy to no end, on Washington profile post and, welcoming Jordan Kyrou and the thank you letter. Oh, this guy's soft. He's a P word and he's a B and all. And I'm just thinking to myself, I am clipping and I am saving every single one of these posts I see. And when these people bitch and complain about the same shit, if McTavish turns out to be a carbon copy, I will clip that shit and I will post it and I will shove it right back in their face. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, that's exactly what they're going to do. So you're not going to make everybody happy. And I completely understand that. But to sit there and still harp on this guy after you got what you wanted and he's gone, and still to be a little bitch, pardon my language, give him a break. He's a goddamn human being, man. He's not a bad person. I tell anybody who says that Kyrou's a cancer, go check out our Drew Bannister interview. He didn't say Kyrou was a cancer. Yeah.
Right. And he was candid about that. I really do think he was candid about that. Right. I don't think he pulled punches. I thought he was pretty candid because and I'm going to say this and I hope it doesn't come out wrong. I could tell when he was pulling punches. I could tell when he was giving us coach speak and when he wasn't. And I kept my mouth shut because, first time we had him on, we got to build that rapport. But we get to a point, I might call him out on it. Hey, we don't need coach speak here. You're not the coach. Tell us what you really think. And but we weren't there yet. So, but I didn't think in that. And the reason I'm bringing it up, I didn't think that when we talked about Kyrou, that it was full on coach speak. I think that he was being true, honest there. Right.
Mm-hmm. Let's. I just want to hit something because we do have some because we haven't hit any comments. I do want to hit some comments just so we have people engaging and stuff like that. Just so we're not.
No, I've seen it. Well, Marianne had asked a bunch of comments, and I wanted to hit all of them, and we'll kind of go talk about them now. She asked, "Are you okay with what we did, gentlemen?" We'll kind of cover that all. She says, "And thoughts about the rumors about Vlad possibly coming back?" We'll get to that. And the boys Steen brought back, and then she asks, "Oh, you know what? We'll counter those three, and then we'll go to her next question." Right? I'm okay with what we did. I'll leave it at that. The guys that Steen brought, first of all, two of them were already in the organization and had been working in some form in what they were doing before. Bortuzzo is the guy that they just brought back into player development or as a scout. I can see that. I think sometimes the grinders, the guys that were grinders in the NHL, make the best scouts. In fact, I used to have an agent with me, and he would tell me that the guys that he usually hired, like to help him scouting, was the grunts. He felt the grunts made the best scouts because they really saw what a guy was doing right and what a guy wasn't doing, and they also knew what it took to stay in the league without a lot of talent. Right? And I say that, and I don't mean that in a negative way. You know, these are guys that are, you know, right on the Walkers. Walker knows how to stay. Walker would be a great scout because Walker knows what it takes to be a 5'6" guy and stay in this league and basically suit him up almost every single night. It's not an easy thing to do.
Well,
right?
It's interesting. You know, I didn't really look too much into it. I just said, okay, fine. You know, they're going to hire who they want to hire. That's okay. As long as they can get the job done and they can do it well, I don't care who they're getting. Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up Walker because we'll talk about this. The Blues have too many bottom six guys on one-way contracts. With what the Blues have done, Nathan Walker's a good example. You may be looking at a guy like Nathan Walker's days as a Blue being numbered with what they did. You're gonna have to. I don't know what the Blues are gonna do, but the Blues are gonna have to make some trades, or they're gonna have to just get rid of some guys just for nothing because they have too many forwards. There's too many forwards on this team. They can't roster all of them, and most of them are on one-way deals. So you're going to have to make a trade, or you're just going to have to waive them. And
well, there's a misconception of what a one-way deal means, right? A one-way contract does not mean that you can only play in the NHL. A one-way contract means you get paid the same in the NHL as you do if you play in the AHL, right? So if a player goes down to the AHL, if Walker goes down to the AHL, I think he's making $950,000 or $850,000, whatever he's making here, or $1 million, whatever he's making here, he'll make there. So there is a chance that Walker or some of these other guys may end up going down. They're going to get waived, and then they're going to go down. Now Walker, if you waive Walker, he is a valuable commodity. He is a minutes eater. He can eat 10 to 15 minutes on your not back end, but on your fourth line and give you energy. Now, he was injured last year, and it showed. But if he's healthy, he's going to be a valuable commodity. He may be a guy that they're not willing to waive, just like last year with the goalie. Who was the goalie? Ellis, I think it was. Yeah. Was it Ellis or who was the goalie that we waived? Huh?
Colton Ellis, and it got claimed by Buffalo.
By Buffalo, right? So you know, that's something that they're going to have to look at.
The Blues, but the Blues are going to have to make moves because first of all they have too many forwards. It's not a like an if then or like that's not the truth. Like that's not the case. Like there's too many forwards on this team, and there's too many bottom six guys on this team. You're gonna be moving out some guys. I don't know who that's going to be. The two guys you just acquired and you just signed, I don't see how you're not having them on the roster. You got Ross Johnston, who is going to be the enforcer for this team. Again, I look at the contract and I'm like, okay, 3 years, $2 million, and I'm just like, first of all, we're giving this guy term. He takes more penalties than he does offensive production. Obviously, he's an enforcer, so most enforcers don't score. But you already had a guy like that in Sundqvist. Yes, you got more size going on there now with a guy like Johnston. But I don't think this team. I talk about it a lot. I don't think the NHL is a crazy fighting league anymore. I don't think it's like all the time you're going to see a fight kind of ordeal. I mean, you know how many times we see like someone try to go for a fight and then the officials break it up. Like it's so far away from that now that I understand what they're trying to do. And I understand what Steen was talking about by trying to get some toughness back in this organization. But I think you saw a lot of that last year. You saw a lot of the guys coming together and playing for each other,
Yeah.
despite their size. A Mayu getting into the fray, a Tyler Tucker still there.
Yeah.
You have guys that are able to do that still.
So this is the Blues. This is where the Blues sit in free agent right now. These are the guys that they have lost in free agency as of this moment that we know of. Okay, they lost Justin Holl. He signed with Washington. Not okay. It was nice to have, but we have a glutted defenseman. Not going to kill me. They lost Hunter Skinner. He signed with Nashville. Not a big loss. Achille Thomas signed with Vancouver. Not a big loss. They lost Marcel Kessel, signed with the Islanders. I think it could hurt a little bit, but again, they have Tucker, who Kessel and Tucker were the same player, basically. So that was now the free agents that we still have are Leo Loof and Connor McMichael. They're both restricted free agents. They've been offered qualifying. They got qualifying offers, and will be re-signing shortly, probably closer to training camp. Those guys usually wait because if they sign now, they have some freedom, right? The group 3 unrestricted free agents are Julian Gunter, Hugh McGain, and Oscar Sundquist. Neither one of those 3 are coming back. The one group 6 free agent that I'm surprised we didn't sign and thought we would and could see him signing elsewhere is Erzinko. Right? I'm wondering with Love Hamstrom getting, getting what he did in Europe, if that made Zinchenko expendable, right? And then you have Berggren, who re-signed, and Thomas Bartolo, who's an unrestricted free agent, didn't get a qualifying offer. He probably will not be signing with us. We did re-sign Berggren to a 1-year contract, and then the controversial signing of Dylan Dubé for 1 year with the Blues. Now, this was not, everyone acts like this was a big deal and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I told you offline how I felt about this, and I don't want to get into it. But we signed him as to a PTO with the Blues, and then signed him to a PTO with Springfield, and he played with Springfield through the playoff run. Right? So this isn't a surprise that the Blues signed him. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm just going to leave it as is. He was found not guilty. And that's the end of it. Right? There's too much other stuff. If you, in the court of opinion, if you want to feel that way, that's great. But as far as I'm concerned, in a court of law, he was found not guilty. End of story. He served a suspension. He wasn't able to play in the league for like 6 months after that. And then they opened it up to signings. He did his time, even though he was not considered guilty of a crime. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. The like I said, the Dylan Dubé thing is a controversial topic. It split the fan base for sure. But again, for me, I'm not going to. First of all, I'm going to put it like this: I'm not going to shit on the people that also didn't want him being signed. It's a league contract. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he brings a lot of skill and speed to the bottom 6. He had a great season in Springfield. But again, I'm not going to shit on the people that have the mindset that they don't want that looming over the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues are trying to build a culture here, and if fans don't want that type of looming cloud over the St. Louis Blues organization, I can't fault them for that. The player in Dylan Dubé, I think, is okay, but the issue doesn't lie for most people with his skill. It lies with all the looming clouds and everything that we just talked about. We won't go into it, but I'm not going to sit there and harp on anybody that has the opinion that the Blues could have went out and sign somebody else that could have easily filled the bottom 6 role. There was plenty of free agents out there. There was some free agents that have gotten some good contracts. The contract is not bad. I mean, the contract's not bad. I don't have any issue with the contract. I mean, it's league minimum contract. So, I mean, you can't hate it that much. But again, with what you did in this free agency now, you're going to lose some people, man. And this is going to be telling, because Dylan Dubé is not going to be one of those guys that is moving. I think he gets a spot on this Blues team. I don't see how he's not on this Blues team. He played his time down in Springfield. He's 27 years old. He doesn't really need any more seasoning down there. No. He probably makes his team. And yes, I heard all about it. Oh, it's competitiveness. It's all that. But the Blues have too many bottom 6 forwards. They're going to have to make a move. And I hope that move is a move that they've been talking about, because a guy like Nikishin has been heavily reported that he probably will go out in the Western Conference, and the Blues were the front runners in that discussion. And the Blues have the assets to go out and acquire someone like that, because you have a plethora of guys on this team. You're a deep team now.
We are deep. We are very, very deep. I will say that. She brought up, Marianne also brought up Vladdy coming back. God, I love Vladdy, but he's not coming back.
He's not coming back to St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not coming back.
I don't think his best days are behind him. I do think his best days are behind, but I do think he's a highly serviceable player. He's a veteran. He's a 2-time Cup winner. He knows how to win. He knows how to score, and he can help a team. He can help.
Yeah, he's serviceable.
He can help a team that's right there. Now, the other question she asked that I held up on, it says, okay, do you think the Blues are Stanley Cup contenders now, or are we a few pieces away? There's another part of this that it's not that I don't think we're a few pieces away. I think we're some experience time away. I think we've got the pieces. I just think they need more time to gel and get together. That's what I think. And I do think that we have a team that can be a Stanley Cup contender within a year.
Yeah. As of right now, I've been very vocal on this. The Blues need to add, I want one more piece. I want another scoring. I either want another scoring guy on that second line to where you can move someone like a McMichael to the third line to get another solid addition to the top 6 and push McMichael down a little bit. Although I'm not shitting on McMichael, so don't take me out of context here. But take McMichael, put him on the third line. You get even deeper if you add another top 6 forward, or you go out there and add a defenseman, AKA a Nikishin or someone who can play top 4 defensive minutes for this team. And again, even if you add that, you're still not a cup contender. I'm with Guy on this one. You're experience away from being cup contenders. The Blues are a young team, and the Blues window is going to be severely open for a long time here in 1 to 2 years. This year, no, they're not a cup contender. Do I think that they are a playoff contender? I absolutely think they're a playoff contender. But I do still, and I'm still going to stick with a guy, whether you like it or not, this team needs another top 6 forward or a top 4 defenseman.
Well, we might have a top 6 forward. You're missing a guy. Who isn't on this team yet? There's a guy that's not on this team yet that will probably be on this team when the puck drops in October.
You don't. The Blues are not the type to put a guy like that in a unwinnable situation. You're not going to put Carbonneau on the second line.
He maybe not right away, but he's a guy that's got top 6 or even top line potential.
Oh, he does.
And it's going to depend on how quick he grows, right? So if he grows, and also what he's going to do, there's something else that he's going to do that I don't think people understand, and I hope it works, but he's going to push Devo. He's going to push Devo something fierce. that's going to be an internal competition. And I think that that's going to help the Blues a lot. You're going to turn one of those two guys into a top 6 forward this season. One of those two is going to have to step up to take that position. And I think that they're both capable of doing it. I think Carbonell's a year away. I think he needs a full year, but he's close enough that he could push Dvorsky into that role.
Well, they play well. First of all, I think the internal competition is great, but Dvorsky and Carbonell play different positions. Carbonell is playing wing while Dvorsky's a center. Dvorsky's got to show us that he can be in that second C spot, but until he does, it's McTavish's. McTavish is your second line center. That's what the Blues are going with. They're not putting Dvorsky at the second line center, nor should they, because he still needs to develop. He's still not extremely there. I've talked about it before. But again, with Carbonell, this is going to be interesting. The Blues have options, but the thing that most people are missing out on is if you give Carbonell a second line spot on this team, that goes to another thing where you have too many forwards. You're throwing away forwards like candy just for nothing. Use your assets while you have them. If you think Carbonell is ready, which I think he has the potential to be a top 6 guy, I really do. But he's not going. Again, I'm going to say this: he's not going to come in and score 70 points. Not going to happen. I love the kid. I think he's going to be great, but he's not going to score 70 points. You don't want to force him into something to not be successful. And the Blues have stated that clearly multiple times, that they want to put young guys in chances to win, chances to succeed, I should say. So if you put Carbonell on this team, that's all fine and dandy, but you're going to be pushing out guys that I don't think deserve to be off this team. A Pius Suter, I like Nathan Walker, but he had a down year last year, but he was injured. But you're going to be pushing out guys that I don't want to give up like candy. I want you to take that asset management. If you're going to get rid of Suter, package him in a deal to get another player, to get a bigger asset. That I'm okay with. But all the people that want to trade a guy like Pius Suter, I think you're delusional.
Yeah,
I think he's consistent. I don't know.
No, I'm with
just
you.
how I feel.
I don't think trading Suter is the right move either. Ryan Green says, why is an agent? No, what I meant was I had an agent on the show. I had an agent that I was in contact with, and that agent had told me that the guys that make the best scouts are the grinders, right? Those are the guys that he sees. They turn out to be able to see things that other guys can't. Marianne asks, if you're looking for a D-man, who do we go after? This is more your avenue, because I don't know individual players as much from other teams.
Nikishin. You go after Nikishin. I would absolutely go after a guy like Nikishin. Nikishin is the one big name that has been heavily rumored for the Blues. Obviously, the ask is what you'd have to be worried about there. I don't know what Carolina would want from you, but Carolina's in a win-now mode. So they may want a guy that can slot in right now, or maybe they want to build up with a young guy. Now, the guy that I'm thinking that if you are going to get in Nikishin, I would assume that your guy that you're probably moving on from would probably be someone like a Theo Lindstein. And I know that doesn't sound too fantastic probably to some people, but the way I view it is Lindstein, I think he's young. I think he can still develop into something nice. He came in, played great. But Nikishin just won the Stanley Cup. He's still 24 years old. You pair him with a guy like Colton Parayko, I think that's incredible. Then you have your defense kind of set up there. You have Broberg, Mayu, you have Nikishin, Parayko, and Carlo, and probably it'll probably be Fowler, because I don't know if they're going to get rid of Fowler. But
no,
then
I don't think they get rid of Fowler, but they've got.
But again, this is all. Might add, I know that this doesn't sound extremely spectacular for the third pair, but the thing is Carlo was not brought to this team to advance this team. Like he wasn't like going to be an advancement piece. He was just there to stabilize the defense. He is only there as a placeholder until Adam Yurchek is here and ready to play. Once he's here and ready to go, Carlo probably will not be on this team, depending on how he plays. I mean, who knows? He may earn his place here in St. Louis. He's only 29, so I mean, he's still up there.
I'm looking at what we've got down on the farm, what we've got, planted, and we've got 3 guys that are probably very, very close to being able to play them bottom 6 minutes, or bottom pair minutes, right? You've got Jarek is going to be he's not going to be a bottom end guy. He's going to be a top 4 guy, right? But you've also got Bushinger and Gaudette, who are both 22, and for a defenseman, they're right at that point where it's the old shit or get off the pot, right? If they're going to be NHL guys, it's time to show that they're NHL guys. And then you've got Leo Loof, who's 24, who is probably borderline NHL talent. But if the Blues are offering him a contract, he's more than borderline. He's slightly above borderline.
Leo Loof was interesting for me. Like I said, the way that I just laid it out for everyone here, that should very much intrigue a lot of people because you got a good mix there. You got a good mix of young and old there. Obviously, Fowler is probably the one outlier there where you're like, oh, man, he's older. But the thing is Fowler can still play bottom pair minutes and be serviceable. I would rather put him in there because I think he's more defensive and not a defensive liability like someone like Tucker is. I like Tucker a lot, but Tucker is a guy who does, who is defensively irresponsible at times. Same with a guy like Kessel that we had. These guys are young still. But, I think the way that I put it together, I think that sounds incredible. Broberg, Mayu, Nikishin, Broberg, Fowler, Carlo, and then you placeholder for Carlo, and then you would bring in Adam Yurchek, who's your right-handed defenseman. You're going to start him young. You're not going to throw him and give him top pair minutes immediately unless you have that much trust in him. Who knows? I think you got a good one in Adam Yurchek, but start him low. Give Mayu his time. He's still playing great with Broberg. He was playing great with him. Keep him with Broberg. Parayko gets a little older. He will move up past Parayko. He'll take Parayko's spot, and then he'll just move up and up. And I'm sure at some point, Mayu will switch down to the second pair, while Adam Yurchek, will be your first pair defenseman.
You also have Lucas Fischer, who's probably going to be in he's 19, so he's probably going to be in Springfield. And Samantha's here, our Springfield correspondent, says, sorry I'm late. She says, Bushinger needs ACL surgery. I did not know that. Then she says, Loof went home to Sweden. That's common. I remember last year when everyone made a big deal out of Yerzinko going back to Russia. And it wasn't a big deal. It was, hey, he went home for the summer. A lot of guys do that. So Loof is going to sign a contract. His agent is working with him. He's going to sign a contract. I'm pretty sure of it. Right? So, and him going home because his contract is up, that has something to do with visas. Right? Because his contract is up. Once his contract's up, he no longer has a working visa. So he's kind of got to go home. You know what I mean? So there's some work visa stuff that these athletes have to deal with sometimes, right?
You may call me crazy. Like I said, I think everybody plays a role, and this was the thing that I was talking about with like a guy like Matthew Kessel. Everybody said, "Oh, because I was packaging deals for like Matthew Kessel," and obviously he's not a needle mover by any means, but he was. A guy like Kessel is a guy that you consider trade filler. And that's no disrespect to a guy like that, or anybody of that caliber, but those are guys that are trade filler, Jonathan Drouin, a Matt Kessel, a Tyler Tucker. Those guys are trade filler. For, that way you don't have to give up as much. You're getting more quality, maybe over quantity there. But depending on whether teams take it or not is a different issue. But I had people tell me, "Oh, well, why would any team want Matthew Kessel? That he's slop, he's terrible." And then guess what? He gets signed by the Islanders. So
yeah, right away too. He signs that day, right?
Yeah. So for all the people that this is what we've been talking about, what you've been talking about. Players are coaches, GMs, and that value players, differently than fans do.
Yeah, I don't see what he signed for. Unfortunately, it's not in.
I think it was just league minimum.
It was a league
minimum. But still, though, that's a guy
right away.
Yeah,
right?
But and that's the thing, though. Like, yes, he's filler. Yes, he's a guy that's not going to move the needle for the Islanders. But again, this goes back to all the people that say that these guys aren't valuable. Everybody in the NHL that plays in the NHL, first line to fourth line to top pair of defense to bottom pair of defense, you all have a role in this team. So to say that no player in the NHL is valuable is ridiculous. Everybody values at least something in somebody in the otherwise they wouldn't be in the NHL. So
didn't I say Loof got offered a qualifying offer?
Yeah, you did.
I thought it. Yeah. So he's he got offered a qualifying offer. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a restricted group 2 restricted free agent. So yeah, he's going to get a contract, Samantha. I guarantee you. And Mary, you're not going to like me. I'm 99% he signed a contract with Sweden May 26th. I don't know that for sure, Samantha, and maybe we can look up. But he got offered a qualifying offer from the Blues, so I'm pretty sure he's coming back. He says her question is, do you think any of these boys are old school like what we had in Bowmeister? Mary, I love you, lady. You know this. You have been supporting me for a very, very long time. And I know you're a little older and you like those old school. You're the type of person that wants your entire team to be bottom 6 guys and bottom pair guys and Tony Twist. And you want Tony Twists and Kelly Chases and Jamie Rivers and those type of guys. 30 years ago, that worked. Today, those guys don't work. They don't get anywhere.
It doesn't.
Right?
Sorry, go ahead.
Right. And she says, I love you guys. You know this. And I know, Mary, I'm just trying to let you know that those guys just don't work in the NHL anymore. Look at Ryan Reeves. I mean, he's been passed around. He's been passed around more than a VD.
Look, I understand. Look, yeah, that was a good one. I understand. See, but and that's the thing. I understand the culture, man. What most people don't understand, Guy, is I've gotten a lot of slack for being very vocal, and I'll take the slack. I don't really give a shit. I think it's hilarious. I don't really give a shit if you like me or not. And I don't care if you think my takes are controversial or dumb. I don't think they're dumb, and I think that I have a little bit of a validity behind them. This Blues team has built a culture for years now, definitely since I've been alive, to where they've never been bad enough to get a superstar like a Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon or anything like that. They had their chance, with Eric Johnson. We all know how that freaking panned out. That was a flop. But again, this team has never been bad enough to get a superstar. This team has built themselves on let's get a bunch of good players that come together, buy into a system. And although I love that because you get 4 lines usually that really buy into the system and come together, like you saw in 2019 when you had 4 lines running heavy and hard, and it worked out for you, and it was great. The problem now is, like Guy said, this is a new NHL. This isn't 40 years ago. This is a new NHL. You need the upper echelon of talent. That's why I've been so vocal about the Blues. They don't need to go out there and get a Jason Robertson. They don't need to go out there and pay for a superstar. But all I've been saying is they need another star. They need another guy, and there's no reason you should be holding back anymore. This is a new era in hockey, and you cannot rely on guys that are all bottom six guys. You can't. I'm sorry, you just can't.
And I get where you're coming from. I really do. And I screwed this up. I did. But I do understand where you're coming from. And the problem is the only way you're getting a superstar right now. Oh, and I want to answer Sam's question here.
A star, not a superstar, a star.
Okay. Do you think any of the draft picks we got will be in Springfield? Not this year because they're not allowed to. You have to be 19 to play in the AHL. There is an age limit, 19 or 20. They have to play a year in either college hockey or the Q, major juniors, before they can play in the AHL or the ECHL.
Like a guy like Tynan Lawrence, who we drafted 11th, he's going back because he's only 17. So he's going to be playing. I think he's playing another year for. I think it's BU. I think it's Boston University, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think he's going back there. That's good for him though, because I think he's already touted as a good prospect. You know, this is only going to season him more, and he's only 17 years old. The Blues don't need to rush anything with that kid.
I think
there's no reason to.
We drafted our college guys or guys that are committed to college next year in the first round.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not particularly worried about those guys just yet. Could we have possibly gotten somebody that was NHL ready at 11? Yes, we could have. They would have been a diamond in the rough. They would have needed some work. But it might have been too quick. I'm okay getting a star if you get a star with the right attitude. Robert Thomas, that is a star with the right attitude. And I got to tell you, I heard some of those comments. And basically, Steen and Armstrong, I know who's going to be the next captain of this team. I know it. I know it with beyond a shadow of a doubt. Who is the next captain of this team? I'd put every ounce of money I had on it. It's
me too.
Right?
Oh, me too.
It's going to happen. I would get shitty odds. Because I would put everything on it. I put everything I own, which isn't much, and get like 1 to 1,000 odds. So I'd have to put $1,000 to make $1 on it. I'd end up with $1,001. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah, it's going to be Robert Thomas. They are building this team around him. Robert Thomas has pretty much said he understands that, and he understands the vision. But it's got to see through, right? If you don't have a year this year, and this is going to be really controversial what I'm about to say. You don't have a year this year that shows this, and I need you to look at what I'm doing real quick, bud. If you don't have a year this year that shows this, did you see what I did? That shows this. You could see Robert Thomas possibly being one of them trade request guys, right? He gets the vision. He wants to see the outcome. He wants to see he didn't say it, but he said it.
So, well, and this is a good point because it goes, and this is another reason why people shitting on my take is stupid, because if you listen to what Robert Thomas has said, what Steen has said, what Armstrong has said, Armstrong went into the presser and talked about Robert Thomas, he's the guy, this is his team and he wants to compete. He wants the team to compete and advance. Yep. So my take for anybody should not be stupid, because that's exactly what the Blues and Robert Thomas are telling you. Robert Thomas is in the best years, his best prime years of his life. Stop wasting it on recreational projects and second chances. I get the vision. I love the vision. It's all great and fine and dandy if it pays out, but that's why I've been so vocal about adding another threat piece to this team, because you are wasting Robert Thomas's best years on maybes. And that's not the way you should be doing it, because Robert Thomas is a guy that can win you the Stanley Cup. I truly believe it.
I'm with you. And Sam, first Mary says, I know I'm old school. And we love you, Mary. You know I love you. You know, you and me have talked offline time and time again. You know that. We've had conversations. And I know you're old school, but it just doesn't work. It's not going to work in today's NHL. You're not going to get anywhere, right? And then Sam says, my pick for next season for captain of the Blues is Jake Neighbors or Dibler Dvorsky. Neither one of them. Neighbors is going to get an A. I'll tell you that.
Well,
Dvorsky's not.
Can I say? I've said it from the start, guy. If I pick this perfectly, obviously it's not a crazy overall hot take that I talked about. I've said it for weeks now, and you can back me up 100% on this. I said Robert Thomas gets the captain. Parayko is a permanent A. Yeah. Broberg is your away assistant, and Jake Neighbors is your home assistant. If I nail that, I deserve some credit.
I might flip-flop Neighbors and Broberg, but yeah, that's what I see happening. Right?
I think you could definitely flip them. I can understand the flip, but I think with the way that I view it is, I think Neighbors does bring the physicality, more than maybe a Broberg does. But I think Jake Neighbors being a fan favorite, I think him wearing an A at home probably has a little bit better of an impact. And I think Broberg is kind of a silent leader. Yeah, so I think he could really help this team on the road.
Right. Rob here says they tried to get Robinson. Yes, they did. Right. And I don't have, now look, I want to say this, and I'm probably going to get lambasted. I don't have a problem with Robinson turning down the Blues. I really don't. I think it's short-sighted on his part, but I understand where he's coming from. Robinson's been, if I'm correct, I could be wrong, he's been to the finals. He's been on a team that's been a conference finals team a couple of times and just not gotten there. He wants the cup, and he wants to be on a team. I think the year that the COVID year was his rookie year, though I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that would make sense. He is 26 years old. That would make sense. We'll like I said, I understand what you're saying, and I don't have a problem with him turning down the Blues. It's not surprising, but again, I've talked about this before. I wish the one thing that these superstars would understand with teams like this, if you look at a team like St. Louis, you look at a team like Utah, you look at a team like San Jose, those teams are on the up and up, and their window is going to be way longer than these teams that are win now teams right now. Yes, they're win now teams, but if you don't win, then what happens? You kind of wasted your prime years there. You're not going anywhere. If these superstars and stuff would realize that if they went to teams like St. Louis, Utah, San Jose, these teams are a piece or two away from being an experience away from being cup contenders.
Yeah.
So I feel like these obviously I talked about it before, but I think that these players, it gets lost in translation with them. I really do.
Because these guys want to win next year. They want to go to a team that they think is going to win the cup next year. That's where they want to go. That's why they want to go to Colorado. That's why they want to go to Edmonton. That's why they want to go to Tampa. That's why they want to go to Florida. Well, part of the reason they want to go to Tampa and Florida. That's why they want to go to Vegas. These are teams that are set up to win now. And it is a little short-sighted. Now, I want to bring Sam brings a really good point up. He says, one thing I'm confused of, confused on is what happens if a team doesn't make an offer because the Thunderbirds have a lot of UFAs. There's a difference between the NHL and the AHL when it comes. Not every player on the Thunderbirds is a Blue. There are players on the Thunderbirds that are just Thunderbirds. They in order for the Blues to bring them up, the Blues would have to buy their contract. So there are different rules when it comes to that. So I don't completely know all of those rules or how all of that works. So some of that stuff, Sam, that stuff's got to wait because those guys really want to get a contract they want an NHL contract that sends them to the AHL. Because if they get an AHL contract, they are a member of the AHL team, not of the big club. There are a couple of guys that are on the Thunderbirds that are not on the Blues roster. Right? So that's something to be aware of. And I don't know all the rules. Right? I think overall, if I had to grade the Blues offseason up to this point, I'm going to give it a solid B. It's not an A. They didn't get a home run. They couldn't get a big name to come here. Okay, I get that. They traded Kyrou away. They got McTavish. Okay, I get that. I think I look at the McTavish as this is the second chance to turn Kyrou into what we thought Kyrou should be. Because they got McTavish at the same point in time that Kyrou really started showing the Blues what he could be. Right? When he was 23. And now that we have McTavish in that same zone, we have something we haven't had in, God, I don't know, 20 years? I think I'd have to go all the way back to 2004 to say that was the last time we have what we have now. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I mean, just go ahead and tell me.
An offensive coach. We have an offensive-minded coach who teaches offense first, who teaches an offense's defense system. And we haven't had that since Coach Q. Right? I think I can go back to all the other coaches we've had and say the majority of them were all defensive coaches. I don't think any of them, right? And I don't remember all of them. Kitchen was one. I think Murray was the other. And then you had Hitchcock. Then you had Yo, and then you had from Yo, you had Chief. I can't think of his name now. Berube. From Berube, you got Bannister, right? The only big offensive season we had in there was when when Monty was the offensive coordinator under Berube. That's the only time we had a really big offensive year, going all the way back to the President's Trophy in 99, 2000, whatever that was, right? So now that we have an offensive coach who teaches offense's defense, I want to sit back and say, okay, what do we got, boys? And I think McTavish fits that mindset. I think the guys that we brought in fit that mindset. I think I understand Steen saying we need the toughness. I get that. Maybe we got it the wrong way. Maybe it was all we could get. But let's have a team that believes in puck control. Let's have a team that wants to get that puck down in the zone, keep it in the zone deep. In 2019, and yes, I know I'm one of them guys, keeps going back to 2019. There is one thing the Blues did that most people don't really understand. And after the San Jose series, you heard it from every single San Jose player. I remember looking in game 5 and game 6 and seeing the San Jose bench be almost empty. Right? There was enough room on the bench for guys to lay down during the game. And it was. And those guys said, they just keep coming. They just keep coming. They just keep coming. They just keep coming. And because of that when they gave up the puck, they kept coming. They kept on the back check. They kept on the forecheck. They just kept coming. And that is not defense. That's offense. It's offense. It's consistently controlling the puck. And if we get a team that's going to do that, that's going to consistently control the puck, we have guys that have the ability to put the puck in the back of the net. And now we have a coach that's going to let them do it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the system, like I said, everything sounds great in theory. Whether it pans out is yet to be seen. I think McTavish can have a rebound year. I really do. I think McMichael will do some good things. The way, again, like I still viewed it, there's two things that I want the Blues to do, and they still have time to do it. We'll see what they can do. They have a lot of assets. The problem with this team now is it's deep. So you have a lot of assets that you can realistically give up to get something in return that will be well worth it in the end, because you can go out and get a younger star like I've been alluding to with the guys that I've been talking about. You have assets where you're deep enough now to where you can give some of that up to get something better in return. So my thing, the Blues can be almost done, and they likely almost are. The Blues need one of two things. They need to go out there and get an established defenseman, or they need to go out and get another top 6 guy, pushing a guy like McMichael down a little bit to where he can play third line and he can still be useful on the third line, and you get even deeper. That's the two. That's one of the two. You don't have to do both, but I want them to do one. I want them to do one at least, hopefully. But we'll see.
I got to bring something up, right? You and me have had a conversation about this, and we've talked about guys with no movement / no trade clause requesting trades, and saying that if they do that it nullifies the no trade clause.
It should.
And well, the problem is we just saw why that is not going to happen in the NHL. And that's Zach Zirinsky saying, originally saying, you know what, go ahead. If you want to trade me, okay. And then turning around and saying, you know what, no, I don't want to leave Columbus. Right? They still have that veto ability. Now, I do think that they should give up some of that veto ability. And originally I said 16 teams. I'm going to come back and say 6 teams. If a player with a no movement clause or a no trade clause goes to a team and requests a trade, they have to give a 6-team list that is non-waiverable. Meaning that if the team is able to come up with a deal with one of those 6 teams, you can't veto it. Right? You can't veto it. You've got to go to it.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine and dandy. But again, I'm going to stick with what I've been wanting, and you may not agree with me, and I still don't necessarily think that that's the case with the Zach Werenski thing. Zach Werenski probably just didn't get where he wanted to go, and he just didn't want to go there, so he'll stay in Columbus because they can't make a deal with the team that he wants to go to, so he has to stay there. I think the negotiable of the no movement clause, if both parties agree, I have no issue with the no movement clause. But my thing though is the team is not breaking the contract. If the player is requesting out of a team and saying, okay, I'm done and I want you to trade me, your teams that you listed that you don't want to go to are on the table again. And if I'm the GM, if I'm the NHL, this is how you prevent guys from doing what they're doing right now and trying to force their way to win now teams. And you say, okay, you're wanting to trade. I'll trade you, but I'm taking the best thing I can get for you. It doesn't matter what team it is. I'm taking the best thing I can get for you, and that's where you're going. That's exactly what the NHL should do, because then it will deter these stars from having this big ego and leaving their team that they have all this great thing to say about, how they're, I'm not like Brady Tkachuk. I'm not leaving Ottawa until I win a cup. And then he's lying through his teeth in interviews and pressers and all that, and to force his way to the Florida Panthers. You need to stop this now while it's fresh. And this is going to become a problem, because you're going to start seeing these teams having super teams, because somehow these teams are going to make it work.
Well, one of the reasons I see the super teams, and I'm sorry, I think that the commissioner is missing it on this one, is the tax-free issue, right? Because these guys get a pay raise just by changing teams. One of the things that has to be done is now let's say that your state has a 5.6% or 5% tax, right? That tax should be added to the players, whatever the tax is, should be added to the players, to the salary cap, right? So now if the player gets $6 million, or if the cap is 100 million, and you have a 5%, which is 5 million, I think it's 5 million. You now have a $5 million. You have $105 million cap, and so this way, teams can pay a little more to players, and it will take away the advantage of a no tax state. Doesn't completely alleviate it, but it does help, because the player still gets that raise when he goes to a tax-free team. But the teams that have the cushion or the overage can bring in a player that maybe they couldn't before, because a tax-free state overpaid them. Right? So it does help some, right?
Definitely the tax-free stuff is definitely like a thing that's been becoming a thing. But again, it's not a coincidence that you're seeing all these guys, all these big names wanting out and then trying to force themselves to one of them tax-free states, like a Florida, Vegas, Minnesota. I mean, it's crazy to me. And I think for me, I don't think it's outlandish to say that the NHL needs to crack down on this quickly. This isn't like let's wait to see how it pans out. You're already seeing it pan out in a bad way. You need to fix this pretty soon.
Well, the one thing the commissioner made a statement. This was brought up a couple of years ago, and the commissioner made a statement. He brought up, when these teams were bad, no one cared about the tax-free thing. Well, the thing is, now maybe they're good because of the tax-free thing. He said, only now that they're good do people. Well, I think they got good because of the tax-free thing, right? So it helped them get better. And to be honest, I think a lot of states should look. If a state in and of itself is these sports is important, that state should look at a way of helping the athletes there. And then another thing, I have a huge issue with this, right? The fact that these guys work in 20 different states and Canada, and they pay different taxes for every place they work. No, they should pay for the team that pays them. That's the tax that they should pay, not where they play. That is bullshit, right? That is the one thing that came out of the NFL where, first of all, I thought the biggest issue that everyone brought up the issue about the quarterback, and I forget what his name was who was the winning quarterback in the NFL, basically owing more money than he got paid. Okay, I get how bad that is. The problem was how little. What everyone overlooked how little he got paid. Right? The NFL makes billions on the Super Bowl alone, and those guys only get paid for the regular season, right? They may get a bonus for winning the division, but from that point on, every game that they play after the NHL, all that money goes to the NFL. The NHL is the same way, right? This is why the salary cap issue of not having a salary cap because they didn't get paid in the playoffs. That's why they didn't have the salary cap in the playoffs. And yeah, teams may have finagled it a little bit, and it's, what was that thing about NASCAR? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? And just because it's not in the rule, if it's not in the rule book, then it's legal. That's not true either, right?
The thing is like for me it's like it may not be against the rules technically, but I feel for like athletes and stuff like that, and for organizations, it's a morality kind of thing. Like you're morally cheating this system.
Yeah. No, and I get that. I see that. I understand that. Right. So much for a 30-minute show, jackass.
Well, we got into some topics. We discussed some good things. Yeah, like I said, I think for me, and I don't know where I saw this at. I could be wrong, but I think St. Louis is actually trying to do something with that, with being a tax-free. I don't know where I saw this. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty certain that I saw something about St. Louis, or someone said something to me about St. Louis trying to do that, and I don't know how that would even work. But again, the only thing that
St. Louis itself could do is the city tax. They could do away with the city tax that the players pay.
Right? I think that's what I heard.
But that's inconsequential, because that tax gets taken off after. So that tax isn't actually 4% of their salary. Let's say the city tax is 4%. I don't know what it is, right? Mm-hmm. But it gets taken off of after. It doesn't come on top of their salary. It gets after the federal tax comes off and after the state tax comes off. Whatever's remaining gets taxed. So it's actually less than that, right? So I mean, and it all depends. And again, the other thing is, and I don't think people really understand this, is players don't make as much as you think they make, right? A player that's making $5 million, he's never going to see that $5 million. Never going to see it. Right off the bat, a minimum 10%, if not more, is going to his agent instantly, right? The moment he signs, he owes his agent 10% right off the bat. And that's 10% annually, and that's 10% of his signing bonus. Right off the bat. Then he owes taxes. Then he owes this. Then he owes that. And then he's got to pay, there's other things that he's got to pay for. Believe it or not, some of these guys in the NHL still have to pay for their equipment. The teams don't play for sticks. These guys got to buy their own sticks. Yeah, I know it's not that much, but they're getting professional sticks, right? They're getting custom-made sticks sent to them. They're not, they got to order and pay for those. Their skates are custom-made skates. Their skates are $3,000 to $5,000 a pair. I have a pair of them, right? Well, that comes out of their pocket.
See, the thing though, the thing is like, for me, I've had this discussion before. I understand it to a degree. You gotta, like, ration your cap, and I understand that completely about building a team, but I had this discussion with someone who was all about money and what people. First of all, I get to the point where I'm like, I don't really give a shit what anybody. I don't care what another grown man is making. Why do I care what he's making? He's on a team. He's on a hockey team that I support. I don't care what he makes. I get what people's argument is, but I don't give a shit what another grown man makes. I don't care.
I'm with you.
So, and I think that's something that gets lost in translation too, because a lot of people use that as an excuse. Oh, well, he's making this amount of money. He's making that amount of money. Why do you care?
Yeah, it doesn't
you
matter.
never see it anyway. So why do you care?
Yeah, it absolutely doesn't matter one bit what they're making, and that's something that for me comes out a lot, or doesn't. It gets misconstrued, but in all actuality, what they make doesn't matter. Oh, well, he's getting paid this much. He should, you know what he's getting paid and how he should play doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Right? Well, but
it's like,
we're at an hour and 40 minutes almost. So we're going to call it, man. I think I'm done.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure. All right.
I want to say a big thank you to Steve Michaud. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that name. Samantha Rose Robinson, a rose by any other name has a thorn. Aaron Nels, our buddy, sister JJ, and my lovely, lovely friend Mary Ann Holmes. We appreciate you for putting some love in the air and watching the show tonight. It was absolute thrill talking to each and every one of you. And I have a question to ask my buddy, my pal, my co-host, Justin Eagle Eye Scott. How do we end this show?
I think we got to ask, where are the girls?
What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo. And I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
So, Mary Ann Holmes, are you ready for the question? Samantha Rose Robinson, are you ready for the question? Justin Eagle Eye Scott, are you ready for the question?
I'm ready for the question.
Who's late for dinner?
Where are the boys? Where are they at?
Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan Bensing, for my happy anniversary, somewhat, co-host Justin Eagle Eye Scott, saying, you gotta know, I'm bleeding blue with you.
And as always, let's go Blues.
And we will see you all next time on the BlueNote Fan Report. Aloha!